Hi everyone, welcome. This is Roxanne with you today, and I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about red flags in relationships. I know a lot of persons want to hear a little bit more about the red flags because, hey, we want to get into healthy relationships. Because if you're hooked in a relationship that is unhealthy, it's gonna drain you. Honey, you have to get out of it. You don't want to be depleted of energy. You want to make sure that you're strengthened and you can function effectively, just to make sure that you're doing what you need to do to accomplish your goals in life. So if you're in a relationship that's totally toxic, I would encourage you just to kind of like think it through a little bit more, just to see if this is the right thing for you. I know sometimes like people are just caught up for a long time and for years and years in relationships that are not good for them. It's very important to sit things through a little bit, just to talk things through, just to kind of think and to be reasonable, and also to do a lot of evidence-based thinking, just to see whether or not this relationship is really worth it all, right? So what are some red flags? All right, so number one, we want to think about the word toxic, right? Toxic is waste. And when something becomes toxic, it's not going to be very healthy for you to keep putting that into your system, because you're going to be drained, you're going to be overwhelmed, you're going to eventually collapse. You're going to be useless to everyone around you who you should be giving love and support, and you're going to be, most importantly, useless to yourself. So red flags, it's very important to look into the red flags of a relationship and when things become toxic. So you have to get out of it. One, you can't be in a relationship where you're being trashed, right? So you're constantly belittled, you're always feeling devalued, you're talked about in a very poor manner, okay, without any form of respect in that relationship. That's a big T in toxic, right? Another thing that you have to ensure, and this is the O in toxic, and it's an obvious run for you if you're experiencing this in a relationship. You might be feeling emotionally abused, and emotionally abused means that words can hit you, words can hurt you, words can crush you. There's no reason for you to be in a relationship with someone who constantly uses their mouth, their words to hurt you, and it's deliberate. Okay, I'm not talking about all relationships have difficulties. Don't get me wrong, all relationships do have difficulties. But if you are in a relationship with somebody who deliberately puts you down, they use words to belittle you, then that's a reason for you to question things a little bit. All right, so it's obviously emotionally abusive. And if a relationship is also obviously physically abusive, so the person starts by kind of pushing you out of the way when you're having a conversation, and the conversation becomes heated. They actually put their hands on you to intimidate you, to push you to the side, or to shake you, or to slap you in the face. No. All right, so that is a no. Okay, so toxic. And that's obviously physical, obviously emotional, right? So that person is draining your energy. okay, and toxic, you know. And then you have persons who constantly are inconsiderate. So they're serving their own selfish motives in a relationship, right? They're serving their own motives. So you're the one who you're doing all the work, physically putting in all the work in the relationship. You're also the one that's, you know, always trying to fix things, always trying to make things right, even though this relationship involves two persons. You're overworking yourself to make this happen, to make the relationship work. Okay, so there's a lot of, you know, inconsiderate relationship. They don't see you, they don't share, they don't give. You know, you're outpouring, but they're not pouring anything into you. So it's almost like a one-sided relationship. Now that's a sign of toxic, right? And another red flag in a relationship. Okay, and there's no, the person, they don't show you that they care anymore. Okay, so in a relationship, it should involve somebody who loves, respects, and cares for you. And I'm not talking about just saying it, even though saying it's nice and great to hear that in your relationship, you know, consistently. And you want to go back and check out the love languages to see the way that you receive love in your relationships. So go back and check that video out on the love languages. But you should be feeling cared for. You should actually feel that person loves you. You're not questioning too much of that. It's, you know, it's over a couple months or years and you're still questioning whether or not this person cares about me. You know, they don't show up when you need them to show up. They've never decided to make sacrifices for you. They're not interested in your goals. You know, you might be working on a project, you might be working on a job, you might be working on something that you are, you know, passionate about, and they show absolutely no interest in that. They're just consumed with themselves. So they're not showing you that they care about you. Okay, so you don't want to be in that situation where it's one-sided. That's definitely a red flag in a relationship. So you have to be cared for, and respect is a big thing. It's a very, it's very you know, important to recognize the disrespect in relationships, how you're spoken to, how you're treated. Somebody should not be calling you, you know, the names of maybe an animal out there in your relationship. I'm not talking about a slip of the tongue. I'm talking about this is happening all the time in your relationship. They were not drinking. They were not doing anything for this to just happen. You know, they did not just kind of take a medication and these words were just kind of popping out of their mouth. This is something that happens all the time, and it shows a lack of respect. Okay, the words that they're using, you know, how you're treated. So if you're feeling like you're not important, they don't respect you enough to share with you important things that they're doing, their plans. If they're not you know, letting you in on certain things that are critical, you know, they have their goals and plans, and you know, you don't have that level of respect for, they don't show you that level of respect that they're actually sharing things with you. That's questionable, you know, in a relationship, you know. So those are, you know, a couple more of the red flags in a relationship. And it's very important that you don't allow anyone to treat you in a particular way that you're not feeling valued, you're feeling dehumanized, you're not feeling loved or respected or appreciated. And I'm not talking about just having conflicts and this happens every now and then. I'm talking about this is happening for a while in your relationship. This is happening often. This is happening consistently in your relationship, and you're sitting in it. All right, so I know I've said all of these things, some of the red flags, but what are you gonna do if you're experiencing the red flags in a relationship? Okay, so it's important that you get some help. And if you're feeling afraid to get out of the relationship for whatever reason, you're feeling threatened, your life is at risk, please, if it's an emergency, if it's a life-threatening situation, you go ahead and call that number that you need to get immediate help with. If you're in danger, go ahead and call the police. If you have to do that right away, you must do that if you're in danger. Secondly, get your support through counseling. Work through with someone, speak things out, get the help that you need, the solid help that you need. If you're seeing these red flags, and you're going to evaluate, not all the things that we see are actually red flags, but you're going to evaluate some of these things that I mentioned are actually some red flags. So you have to go through, talk things through, see where you're at, see how, if this is reasonable, if there's evidence to support this, you're not like just thinking about these things and it's not really happening. So go through all of that and talk things through. Make sure you're administering a lot of love, care, and compassion to yourself. You're speaking kindly to yourself, even though you feel devalued and you don't feel loved and appreciated in your relationship. It doesn't mean that you're not worthy of love if one person decides that you're not, okay? And you have to also love yourself. That's critical. Love yourself. Know your worth. Know that you're special. Know that, you have what it takes to be treated with love, respect, and to be cared for. Know that you're number one. Right? So all of these things are important. You have to pour those positive words and energy into yourself. Start believing into yourself. And listen, if you're from a broken situation, it might be very difficult for you to do that. It doesn't feel natural for you to love yourself. So it means that you have to get into support like counseling. Get into a one-on-one with someone who will help you to see who you are, to recognize the beauty that exists in you. All right, so those are some very important tips, and that's just the part 2. If you have not seen red flags in a relationship, go look on the clip 1 on it, and then please revisit and come and share your comments. There are several red flags, but it's really worthy of investigating if these are really red flags, and then you make sure that you're intentional in getting out or getting the work that you need to get done to really to get the support that you need. All right, so this is gonna be a wrap for now, and please guys, remember, like, share, and subscribe. See you again next time.